Hey guys, Josh here, and a few days ago I played 7 upcoming cozy games and farming games during a live stream, and all of these games currently have demos available to try for free on Steam as part of Steam Next Fest, which is going on until October 16th. So I'll be going over all of the games that I played, tell you what I liked and disliked about each one, and hopefully that should give you a good idea of which one you should try or maybe avoid. I also decided to add one extra game to this list, so even if you did watch the live stream, well, there's gonna be something new for you as well. Let's start with the first game that I played called Horticular. So this one is not a farming sim, but a 2D isometric garden builder. You start with a small garden and you can place different types of surfaces such as grass, dirt, flower bed, ponds, and more. And each surface has their own properties such as soil, lush, orderly, water, and so on. And then you'll have to place plants and flowers that match those properties. And then those plants will also have their own properties like foliage, flowery, shading, and shelter. And if all of the right conditions are met, some creatures will move to your garden. So you have to think about how you coordinate all of your plants and your surfaces in your garden to have the correct properties to make a proper habitat for these critters. The more you play, the more mechanics and things will unlock, and it can honestly feel a bit overwhelming at first, but once you get used to how things work, it is a lot of fun, and I'm honestly impressed by how much content there is in the demo. It actually feels like a whole game, and you can definitely spend a lot of time on it. It's also a really lovely looking game. If you're used to play things like Roller Coaster Tycoon or Zoo Tycoon, it will definitely bring back some memories because it has a similar art style. But it also feels very modern. Everything is very smooth and responsive, and it's just a very pleasant experience that I would recommend everyone to try. There is no release date announced for Horticular yet, but I can't wait for the full experience. The next game is Cupid Island, and in this one you play as a Cupid and your goal is to form couples and nurture their relationships. In the demo, the island is really small. There's just your house, a couple's house, and 2 shops. But I think there will be more in the full game, and it looks like you'll be able to customize your island. Every day you go talk to the couple and use a net to literally collect the love, joy, and other good feelings that they produce that will be in the form of these little orbs, and these will serve as a currency that you can use in the shops to buy things like seeds. You can also talk to the couple, give them gifts, or send them on a date. And as you accomplish all of these things, the couple's love will level up. And later on in the full game, there should be more couples moving in, and you will repeat the same thing. You can farm in Cupid Island, but that part of the game feels pretty bare bone. You simply dig with a shovel, plant seeds, and they don't even need to be watered, so you just have to wait a few days and harvest them. Another thing you can do in this game is customize your character, and I will say there's a really good amount of options. You can layer multiple clothes and change every little thing, but the menu is so difficult to navigate. All of the options are shown as these little sprite sheets where you see, for example, each piece of clothing from each side, and everything is in grayscale, and it's just so small it's impossible to see anything clearly. So I was basically just clicking randomly on each option until I found something that I liked, and I feel like this could be fixed pretty easily by just showing one icon instead of the whole sprite sheet, or even just sticking 2 arrows that would switch from one option to the next. But the character customization right now was a bit confusing, even though I loved the number of options that were available. Also, when I reloaded my save file after the live stream to try the game a bit more, all of my progress saved except for the character customization, and I was back with the default character. The game seems to have quite a few bugs and things that need to be worked on. For example, during dialogues, you'll often have character portraits overlapping each other. And even though I do like the concept of this game, right now it feels pretty unfinished, so I'm hoping things will improve by the release, which is currently planned for January 2024. The next game is one I was really excited to check out as it seemed pretty unique. Hero Planter is a farming sim where instead of managing a cozy farm on land, you are instead underground and you go through 100 procedurally generated floors, and you have to go as deep as possible and survive through dangers like monsters, all while growing crops that can either be sold or given to the population back on the surface. Unfortunately, I was not able to experience most of that. Very early on in the tutorial, you need to jump on a platform by pushing a block, then crouching and jumping, which makes you jump higher than usual, but the platform is just the exact height that there's no margin for error, and if you don't jump in exactly the right conditions, you won't be able to do it. It was really difficult. I tried again and again during my live stream, and I ended up making a poll and we collectively decided to give up, But after the stream, I tried again because I really wanted to give this game a chance, and I eventually managed to jump on the platform. Nice, then I fought some monsters and collected compost, and my mission was to transform the compost into fertilizer using this machine. The game told me to press F and spacebar to make the machine work, but I had to make sure to keep the heat in the middle. So I pressed F to heat up the machine, but whenever I tried pressing spacebar to cool it down, my character was just jumping because it's the same button that's used for jumping. So I couldn't make the machine work properly, but I didn't want to give up, so I went onto the Steam discussions page, and everything I found there was people having the same issues I had with the controls without any solution. But I pushed through. I actually just ignored the fertilizer machine, and I decided to quit the tutorial and just go through the first real dungeon. I still, of course, couldn't make fertilizer, and I struggled with the platforming, but I managed to fight some enemies. When you beat an enemy, there is a countdown. I have no idea what it's for exactly, but it plays the spookiest sound. I'm gonna play it for you just once. Don't worry, it's not too loud or anything. There's no screaming or anything crazy, but I want to share it with you just so you know what it is. Just be ready in 3, 2, 1. So that's the sound. Now imagine hearing this for every monster that you slay, like every 10 seconds. And I don't know if it's just me, but it was pretty annoying and uncomfortable. But yeah, anyway, I couldn't progress much because you need to make fertilizer in this game, and that didn't work. So this game comes out on October 19th. So they have a few days to fix these issues with the controls. I'm honestly not very hopeful, but if they do manage to fix everything, I would love to check it out because the idea of the game does sound interesting, like a mix of Spelunky and farming sim, but right now it's not working well. The previous two games were a bit disappointing. Not all games can be amazing, but things are getting better with Outpath, and you can think of this game like a combination of Minecraft and Forager. You start in a tiny world and you gather some resources to craft items and collect points, and those points will allow you to expand the world with a new biome. With every new biome, you'll see new types of resources, allowing you to craft even more items and tools. Then eventually some animals like chickens and cows will start appearing, and you'll be able to get items from them as well. It kind of feels like Minecraft, but if the world was expanding gradually instead of being infinite from the start. You'll also find some books that unlock passive skills, for example, the ability to get resources faster. And that's one of the things that make this game feel addictive. The more you play, the more efficient you get, and there's always one more item you want to craft or one more biome to unlock, so it's a really fun gameplay loop. I also personally found the movement to be pretty fun. You're constantly jumping from one little piece of land to the next. It feels very satisfying, and as far as I know, there's no fall damage. You can even go in the water, and apparently later on you can buy other islands. However, one thing to keep in mind, during my stream, a lot of people mentioned having motion sickness because it was first person, but also I think maybe the movement had something to do with it, the movement of the camera or the graphics. So if you're prone to motion sickness, I would recommend you try the demo for yourself before you think about purchasing this game, so we can see how you feel. The game comes out on October 16th, so just a few days from now, and I will definitely play more of it. The next game is also first person, but luckily it seemed to cause a bit less motion sickness for most people. This one is called Garden Life, a Cozy Simulator, and it feels like your typical simulator kind of game, but you get to take care of a flower garden. You get seeds, plant them anywhere in your garden, watch your flowers grow, and you will receive requests for specific types of flowers, so you'll have to clip them and put them in a box, and you'll get rewarded with things like money. Everything was free in the demo, but you'll be able to use that money to buy furniture and decorate your garden to your liking. Based on this Steam page, the game seems to be encouraging proper gardening techniques, so I was expecting a somewhat realistic gameplay, but for the most part, at least from what I've played, it seems to be pretty basic. And I don't know if that's just because it was a demo, but all of my flowers grew in just one day, so I didn't get to really take care of them much or see them grow. So I hope this will be a bit more realistic in the full game. One interesting feature that the game does tell you about is that you have to make sure you remove weeds, otherwise they will negatively affect your plants, but you also want to keep a few weeds because in small quantities they have the benefits of taking the pests away from your nice plants. I'm not sure how that will work in practice, but that does sound like a pretty fun mechanic, and I feel like we do need some more realistic garden simulators. But so far, what I like the most about this game are the graphics. I could only access a small part of the garden as well as a little village with a shop, but everything I saw was filled with details. There are vines growing on the buildings in the garden. Everything just feels so real, rustic, and cozy. They really managed to create an amazing atmosphere that transports you to a charming place, probably somewhere in Europe. The village was really small and I wish there was a bit more to explore, but it looked so beautiful. I just wanted to chill there and look around all day. So I hope the gameplay will be a bit deeper with the full release planned for the first quarter of 2024. But so far, I've been enjoying this one, and it's a nice game to just relax and enjoy the lovely atmosphere. Another great game for relaxing is Chill Town. I played this one on my channel a few months ago, and I already noticed a lot of improvements and bugs that were fixed, so it seems like this game is heading in the right direction. It's a cozy life simulator that's also an idle game with lo-fi beats to relax to. You can change the background music at any time. There's a good selection of tracks from happy, uplifting beats to sad or more melancholic ones, and you can do things like let your character fish automatically and just listen to the music while you study or do something else in the real world. I think that is a great idea. You can also decorate your house and island, and another very unique feature is that you can write letters that other players around the world can read, and I feel like that's such a wholesome way to connect, and it was fun to read what people had to say. There are also these little creatures all around the island, and I'm not quite sure yet how you can interact with them, but they're really cute and I'm looking forward to befriending them. This game has lots of very fun ideas, but the weakest point of Chill Town right now is I feel like it's lacking a proper identity. First of all, it's very heavily inspired from Animal Crossing New Horizons. You arrive on a little island that needs to be restored. There's a little airplane and a little airport that are almost identical, but the biggest issue with this game's identity is how all of the assets are mismatched. For example, looking at the list of food, I was able to see 4 or 5 completely different art styles, and that just makes it hard to get fully immersed into the game. I know this is being made by a pretty small team, actually most games on today's list are, so I don't want to be too harsh, but I hope these assets are only placeholders and that by the time the game releases, things will look a bit more uniform. There's no release date announced yet for Chill Town, but it's one of these games I will keep an eye on in the future, as I think it has the potential to be great. It has good ideas, but it just feels a bit rough. Another game that I've been looking forward to for quite some time now is A New Leaf Memories. A lot has happened with this game. They did a Kickstarter campaign back in May 2021. The full release was planned for the second quarter of 2022, but it eventually changed developers and the game ended up going in a slightly different direction. In fact, even today, if you go to their Steam page, you can see screenshots from both the previous version of the game and the current one with very different styles, especially for the characters. So it's a bit hard to tell where the game is going right now or what it's trying to be. In terms of gameplay, it's a pretty standard farming sim, and I did somewhat enjoy my time playing the demo, but unfortunately, I did not get to experience anything that has not already been done by other farming games. One thing that this game does seem to have that others don't is that you can ride different vehicles. There's even a charging station to charge them, but as far as I know, there's no way to try these vehicles in the demo, which feels like a missed opportunity because I think a demo should showcase the unique features a game has to offer, but that's not the case here. You can also customize your farm. The field is pretty big and you can do things like place down paths, soil, or water anywhere you'd like on your farm. But once again, it's not really anything new. Most NPCs also just stood in the same spot all day with no interesting dialogues. I think this game does look cute, but it desperately needs something to make it more unique. We have so many farming games that we can play right now, and I'm struggling to see why I would play this one over others. But the full release is planned for the last quarter of 2024, so they still have some time to figure things out. As I promised, now here's the bonus game I'd like to talk about, Acres. This one is pretty unique. You manage a farm and you receive orders that you have to complete in a limited time. You can plow, plant seeds, water the soil, remove weeds, and harvest crops simply by selecting an action and then clicking on the different tiles. At first, it seems extremely simple, but the more you play, the more orders you will receive, and you'll be asked for a wider variety of crops, and you'll have to manage a ton of things at once. So you'll buy more tiles to expand your farm, and you'll also be able to buy tractors that will work on a whole row for you, saving you precious time. If you wait too long to harvest your crops, they will die, and you also need to keep an eye on the water level of the soil, as well as the nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in order to optimize the growth of your crops. but I didn't have to care too much about that during my short time with the demo. If I had to summarize this game, I would say it feels like a top-down version of Farming Simulator, mixed with a time management game where things can get pretty hectic. Think of something like Diner Dash. Expanding your farm gradually and trying to optimize everything is fun, and I can't wait to play the full version when it releases on October 17th. So many of these games are actually releasing next week, so there's a lot to choose from. Let me know if this video was helpful, which demos are you planning to try, or which ones are you going to avoid. Let me know your thoughts. For me, if I had to pick a favorite, I think I would choose Outpath, but I also really enjoyed Horticular, so I'm going to be looking forward to the full release of those games. But that's going to be pretty much it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed and would like to see more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.